All right, so I kind of wanted to just, because I already talked about all this before, so I kind of want to just run through this. So I wanted to get my basketball videos. A lot of my friends, or I called a few of my friends, but I was too afraid to call most of them because I was too afraid that if they said no, they didn't have them, then I would never get them because I thought that they would be afraid of later admitting that they lied. So, like I said, I was trying to manipulate things. I wanted to show how powerful I was, and so they would give me the videos by typing all my communist ideas and my quadra model stuff on Facebook, but it backfired. And again, my grandpa would say I was trying to make things happen. I wasn't in the flow. I was run by fear, and then I was trying to manipulate. I wasn't in the flow, and that's probably true. So then, but like I said, if I had some support, I was stuck on Kauai, if my family would have just talked to me. I wanted my dad to help me get the basketball videos, but he wouldn't talk to me. My mom would say, "You're a schizophrenic loser. Your dad's never going to talk to you." And I'd tell her, "Listen, I discovered theory of everything." "No, you have schizophrenia. You're a fucking freak. You're a freak." It's messed up, man. And she talks to me worse than that. So then I end up going back to Los Angeles, and I talked about all this before. I talked to my grandma, and I was telling my grandma, "Can we get a psychologist so I can have the psychologist talk and be a mediator between me, my mom, and my dad so that we can try to reestablish a sort of relationship?" But my grandma's like, "Okay, I'll talk to your mom." But then my mom told my grandma, "No, we're not going to see a psychologist. You have to send him to a psychiatrist. He has schizophrenia. He's mentally ill." No, I did not have schizophrenia. I was not mentally ill. But so then, I ended up when my grandma said this, I threw a beanbag into the wall, and I told my grandma, like, "No, I don't have mental illness. Tell mom to just get a psychologist so we can work this out." But then my dad came. This is like, again, like one of the few times I see my dad. And my dad he came into the place. My dad said, you said, "Get out of here. You're moving to San Diego, or else I'm going to, we're going to, I don't know if he told me he was going to kick my ass or he's going to call the police or whatever. I don't know. So then I went, my aunt and uncle came to pick me up, and they took me to San Diego. So then, like I said, at San Diego, I'm staying with my aunt and uncle, and my aunt and uncle didn't really believe the quadrant model at the time. So I'm trying to explain to them. But again, I had become a right-winger at this time, and I was posting all my right-wing stuff on Facebook, like I said, because on INTP Central I had all my communist stuff, but they had kicked me off. So I had all this communist, ideas that were anti-religion, anti-white, pro-communist Marxist ideas. And then so I wanted to counteract them with my Facebook stuff. So now I was posting all my right-wing ideas. But my aunt thought that I was, that she didn't believe the quadrant model. I wanted help to get the quadrant model out. But so then I'm stuck in my aunt's house. But like I said, also when I was on Kauai, I didn't have my basketball videos, and I wanted to study the swag flow because I had lost it in college. So I wanted to study the swag flow. I wanted to study basketball videos, and also I at this point I was thinking to myself, I want to get my basketball videos onto YouTube, so just in case something happens to them, right? So I'm telling my aunt, like, can I go back to Los Angeles to get my basketball videos? But this was, again, the big problem with my grandpa. My grandpa's whole thing was like, if you're in the flow, you're in eternal moment. So my stupid family interpreted this as, okay, so he shouldn't want his basketball videos because he should be in the eternal moment. And this is why he has schizophrenia, because he's stuck in the past. But even my grandpa later told me, he said, "No, you wanting your basketball videos is fine. If you're studying them, you're studying basketball." He said, "That's a way to increase your comprehension and increase your awareness and stuff." He said that could actually be beneficial for the flow. But my family, again, they didn't understand anything. And as my grandpa said, he said he cast pearls of swine, and they incorporated everything into their predator prey software, which is predatory toward me. So they're like, "Oh no, your grandpa says this is why you have schizophrenia, because you're stuck in the past." No, that's not what my grandpa said. But my grandpa did teach, like, "Oh yeah, be in the eternal moment. Don't ever talk about the past." But that was about the abuse that happened. But at this time, I had never told anybody about the abuse that happened, right? So that's what my aunt's saying. She's like, "Why do you want your basketball videos? Is it because it brings you back to a time when you and your dad got along?" And she's trying to psychoanalyze me. No, I just wanted to study the swag flow, and I wanted to get more basketball videos when I was younger. So then my uncle was like, and I told my aunt and my uncle about how my shot got messed up, and my about how it was because of the shoot away machine, but I didn't want to blame my dad, because I wasn't allowed to blame, because that would be self-confirmatory, and you have to take responsibility for everything in my grandpa's existential metapsychiatry. So I was like, I told him, like, I figured out what happened. It was a shoot away machine, and my uncle was like, well, Ryan, did you ever stop to think that maybe it wasn't the shoot-away machine and maybe your shot just got messed up because you're a white guy? So that pissed me off. So I was just like, no, it was the shoot-away machine. And really, it wasn't just a shoot-away machine. It was a shoot-away machine and my dad messing up my shot. And I can go to details. And I want to show my dad, because if I show my dad, then I can show him all the details. I can show him what good shooters really do, how they really move into shots and stuff, and how the shoot-away machine prevented it. But at this time, I couldn't do that. So I'm like, I just want to talk to dad. So, but then my aunt was like, your dad's not going to talk to you. He doesn't want to talk to you. And I'm like, okay, well, can you guys try to get can I at least go back to Los Angeles so I can get my basketball videos so I can transfer them, so I can convert them. So then, but my aunt and uncle told me that my mom and dad wouldn't let me go back to Los Angeles to get my basketball videos. So because my basketball videos are at my grandma's house. So then I'm stuck in San Diego, and I'm trying to just, get back into basketball, or I want to get my basketball videos. So then, as I said, there was fires occurred, and my aunt and uncle were living in Escondido. So then we had to move to a hotel, and then my grandparents, both of my grandmas, went to visit me in the hotel. And I told my grandmas, like, I want to go back to Los Angeles so I can get my basketball videos, because I wanted to convert them to YouTube so I could start studying them and stuff. But then, but my grandmas were telling me, no, your mom and dad won't let you come back to Los Angeles. So I was like, I want my basketball videos, and I want to talk to mom and dad. Why won't my mom and dad just talk to me? I just want to talk to my mom. So, then, or I want to talk to my dad. So then I ended up, taking my grandma's dog, and I took the dog to the freeway, and I told them I was going to throw the dog off the freeway unless they let me go back to Los Angeles, because I was getting sick of it. I've been stuck in San Diego for months. I want to get my basketball videos. And the other thing was my aunt was saying that she was trying to get me to go to a psych ward because they thought I had schizophrenia. They really thought I was mentally ill. They didn't believe the quadrimodel. People didn't know the quadrimodel was legit. I discovered a theory of everything. I didn't have schizophrenia. So then my aunt told me get in the car. So I got in the car, and then she was like, "You're not allowed to stay in our place, and you're going to be living on the streets now because you threatened the dog." And I'm like, and she said, and then so she kept on driving. She said, "You're such a fucking loser. My aunt has problems, and my mom has problems. This is my mom's sister." So then I pulled the keys out of her car, and I threw the keys into the bushes. And then my aunt ran at me, bit my hand, ended up calling the police. The police came. I already talked about all this before. And then my aunt told them, he has schizophrenia. And the police were like, does he have schizophrenia? And I didn't say anything. I was just sitting like this. But my choice was either I was going to go to the police. They were either going to take me to the police station, or they were going to send me to a psych ward. My aunt was like, yes, he has schizophrenia. So they sent me to a psych ward. I had never been diagnosed as schizophrenic. I'd never had schizophrenia. I never had any mental illness. So then they take me to the psych ward. They take me to the observation room. And I'm sitting in the observation room. And then they come and talk to me. And they're like, so you tried to kill your grandma's dog and all this stuff. Or if my mom and dad would just talk to me, like I said, none of this stuff would have happened. So I'm telling them I'm not going to talk to. I don't want to talk to this lady, because I could tell that this lady was being abusive to me. Like, she already was against me. So I was like, I'm not going to talk to you. I'll talk to the doctor. I'm not going to talk to you. So they're like, okay, well then tomorrow you have to talk to the doctor or whatever. So they took me to the behavioral unit. And I'm in the behavioral unit. It's the first time I'd ever been in a behavioral unit. And then they sent me to the doctor the next day. And I was crying the next day when they took me to the doctor. And then the doctor ended up saying that so he started talking to me for a little bit. And he said, Ryan, I have good news. You do not have schizophrenia. And I was like, okay, good. He's like, you don't have any like rambling speech. Your thoughts are like normal. He was like, you don't have schizophrenia. And I was like, okay, I already knew that. I already knew I didn't have schizophrenia. But he told me it's possible you have bipolar, but he couldn't make that assertion. He just met me. So he said that he was going to keep me there for a little bit, and I could choose to take the medicine, or I could take the medicine. I'm not going to go into details about everything that happened, but he said it's possible I had bipolar. But they kept me there for a week, and at the end of the week, I'm not going to go into details about everything that happened. They let me go, and he called my mom. He told my mom he doesn't have schizophrenia. He does not have bipolar. He does not have any mental illness. So a doctor already established I did not have any mental illness. Now my mom was freaking out, and my mom was screaming, "He tricked you! He's manipulative! He tricked you!" Ah! But the thing was, the doctors told her, and this is what the nurse told me there too. She said, "You can't trick a doctor." They said, somebody can trick a doctor that he does have a mental illness, but if you have a mental illness, you can't trick a doctor that you don't have a mental illness. So I didn't have a mental illness. The doctor said I didn't. They say you cannot trick a doctor. So the fact of the matter was, I was not mentally ill. So then, but then my mom was like, "No, you tricked him." So I'm trying to talk to my mom, and like I said, I'm trying to be very super calm. And I'm like, "Mom, the doctor said I don't have a mental illness. Can you guys give me a place to stay now? Can I talk to you guys?" Mom's like, "You do have a mental illness. You have schizophrenia. You fucking freak. You fucking tricked the doctor. You tell the doctor the fucking truth about the quadrant model. You fucking freak." Screaming at me. She's being so evil. So I'm being super calm. And I'm just like, "Mom, I don't have a mental illness. Can I please just, can you guys just help me out?" "Now you have schizophrenia, you fucking freak. You need to go to the doctor. You need to start taking medicine. Once you start taking medicine, then we'll give you a place to stay." If my mom and dad would have just talked to me, if my dad would have just talked to me, none of this stuff would have happened. It's really my dad. Like, if my dad would have just talked to me, let my dad just talk to me. It would be very calm. I have nothing negative to say. I do want to show him what happened to my shot, but there's nothing negative. Let this man just talk to me. My mom has mental issues. So I'm trying to just, can I talk to dad? "He's never going to talk to you, you fucking freak, you fucking schizophrenic freak." So then I go to my grandma's house in Los Angeles. Oh no, I went to my grandpa's house because my grandpa and grandma picked me up from San Diego. It's a long story. There's more to it, but they picked me up and I went to their place. But again, my grandpa was like, "Ryan, everything in the universe is anti-entropic reordering function, and you need to be in the flow, and you need to be independent, so you need to get a job." And I'm just trying to get my basketball videos online at this point. So I started to convert my basketball videos. And this is when I lost a few more. And I don't know what happened to them. I probably left them at my grandpa's place and something happened to them. I don't know what happened. But a few more of my basketball videos were lost at this point. But I got my basketball videos from my other grandma's house. I took them to my grandpa's place in Malibu. And I was trying to, convert them. But then my grandpa and I got in an argument because he's like, "Ryan, you have to get a job because, I'm not going to enable you," and because his whole thing is like, no welfare. So it's ironic too, because my mom was like, you need to see a psychiatrist so you can be put on Social Security because you have schizophrenia, and that's what my grandpa's against. My grandpa's against Social Security. He's against welfare because he thinks that creates resentment and it enables people and all that type of stuff so. But my mom didn't understand that. My mom's like, "I'm just trying to make him independent, like you say, Grandpa." No, that's not what my grandpa was saying. So annoying. She doesn't get it, dude. It's just so sad, dude. So then my grandpa, so my grandpa and I get in an argument, and I'm telling him, I'm like, "Dude, Grandpa, you're the one who's caused all these problems because if you're the one who's told my mom and dad to make me independent, and they interpret this as throw him to the side and neglect him." And my grandpa's like, "Oh, I understand, but that's not, I cast pearls of swine, I admit it, but no, they just misinterpreted. Don't blame me. They just misinterpret. They incorporate it into their lower level of software." Because my grandpa admitted they should be talking to me, but they weren't. My dad should be talking to me. So then my grandpa ended up, so we got in an argument, and then he kicked me out of the place. Because, I'm telling him, like, "Dude, you're the one who's biggest." First off, his whole thing of, like, don't talk about the past, which my mom and dad interpreted as, okay, no talk about basketball, which, I needed to talk to my dad about what happened with the shoot away machine. That was important, and even my grandpa would admit, yes, that if your dad should, he didn't admit that, but I'll get more into that. But my grandpa didn't believe me about the shoot away machine. Like I said, my grandpa was like, "It wasn't the shoot away machine. It was because you were playing against bigger, better players and you got frustrated and you took out your frustration on your dad and your dad beat you up. That's what happened." That's not what happened. That's not what happened at all. What happened was my shot got messed up. My dad was trying to fix it. It was a shoot away machine. Didn't know it was a shoot away machine. Told me to do the wrong thing. And then that led to problems. you know, and we're trying to fix it. You just tell me to shoot like this, and oh, your shot looks terrible, and da-da-da. That's what happened. So if it wasn't for the shooting machine, none of it would have happened in the first place. But then, but I wanted to explain this to my dad. You know, I wanted to talk to my dad, but my dad wouldn't talk to me. So then I ended up going to my grandma's house because my grandpa kicked me out of his place. I went to stay at my grandma's house, but then at my grandma's house, my dad comes in, and I'm sitting in my grandma's house, and my dad chases me out because my dad's like, I'm going to fuck you up. And I start to run. I run out of my grandma's house. I run up a hill, and I go up into the woods because my dad's chasing me. My dad gets in his car and starts chasing me. First, there was some people in their car, and I went up, knocked on their door. I was like, can you guys drive me somewhere? They ended up driving me a little bit, and then my dad comes up behind them, and my sister was with my dad, and my dad's beeping. I'm not going to, there's actually more that happened to this, but my dad's beeping. They're like, is this guy chasing you? And I was like, yeah, that's my dad. And they're like, okay, well, we can't take you. So then I got to get out, and I run up the hill, and I go into the woods because my dad's chasing me in his car. And then I ended up running down the hill. Oh, yeah, this is what happened. Before that happened, there's a lot more that happened in this. There's a lot more. This actually happened later. It's going to get all discombobulated now. That happened later, actually. First he just chased me out of the place, and I didn't run into the woods. First he just chased me out of the place. Then what happened? I'm trying to think. Yeah, and then anyways, my mom. Oh yeah, they ended up putting me into. Oh yeah. Okay, there's a lot of stuff that happened at this point, but I'm gonna combine stories. What ended up happening was I ended up talking to my grandma. I was telling my grandma, like, Grandma, can I talk to Dad? And my grandma was like, your dad and mom want you to take medicine because they think you have schizophrenia. And I yelled at her. I was like, Grandma, I don't have schizophrenia. And then my grandma fell backwards, and I ended up catching her. And then my dad chased me up the hill, and then I ended up going down the hill. My dad called the police, and they tried to get me in jail. So then the police were talking to me, and the police were like, you know, your mom's claiming that you hit your grandma. And I was like, no, I didn't hit my grandma. She fell backwards, which is true, and I caught her, which is true. That's what happened. I saved my grandma's freaking life. And because my grandma had a mark on her arm, because I caught her when she was falling. So then the police talked to my grandma, because my grandma was up the hill, and they asked her what happened. And my grandma told them, I fell backwards, which is true, and he caught me. Same story. But so I go up the hill, and my mom's yelling, he's a fucking elder abuser! He's a fucking elder abuser! Send him to jail! This is my own mom is trying to destroy my life. My own mom. And all I want is to talk to my mom. Because I said, what happened was my mom started to hate me ever since high school when my shot got messed up. And she thought it was something wrong with me. And I want to explain to them. I want to show them the videos. And like I said, even when I was in high school, like when I was in middle school, one of the bus drivers was like, Ryan, your mom's the best mom ever. She's always the first one there. You know, you have the best mom in the world. Yeah, I did when my mom liked me. But then when she started to hate me after the shoot-away machine, yes, but I want to get into that. So I was like, he's an elder abuser. He's an elder abuser. So then, but then the police talked to my grandma, and the police were like, they said he has the same story as his grandma. She says that she fell backwards and he caught her, and that's what he's saying. So they were like, so we can't send him to jail. We can't do anything. We were letting him go. And then my mom was like, oh my fucking, and my grandma had a next door neighbor who was a Jewish lady. And again, at this time I was posting all my right wing stuff online. I had just started doing that because I started to become a right winger. So then she was like, you know, she was against me at that point. She was a Jewish lady. So she's yelling, you send him to fucking, he's mentally ill. Send him to the hospital. And I'm just sitting in there, and they're like, he hasn't shown any signs of being mentally ill. We can't send him to the hospital. So then my grandma's next door neighbor, who's a Jewish lady, is like, I know the chief of police. I'm going to send you guys. I'm going to have you guys fired. Da, 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 da. So then the police were like, and I told the police, I was just like, police. I was like, officers, just take me to a psych ward. Please, just take me to a psych ward to make them happy. And I'm going to talk to the doctor, and I'm going to tell him, basically I'm going to tell him that I don't have any mental illness. So they took me to the psych ward, and they dropped me off. They said, we can't let you in. We can't force you in here. Just they dropped me off here. They said, do what you want. So I went to the psych ward, and I asked them, can I talk to the doctor at the psych ward? But then they examined me. They did all this stuff, and they said, no, we can't because you don't have any symptoms of a mental illness, like I've been saying this whole freaking time. So, my mom was just trying to throw me under the bus. She's trying to get me arrested. She didn't have any sympathy for me. She's trying to get me arrested, trying to send me to psych wards. She's just trying to throw me under the bus, dude. So, I was abandoned and betrayed by my own mother and my dad. That's basically what happened. So, and I discovered theory of everything. Like I said, I discovered a theory of everything. All this did not need to happen if my mom and dad would have just talked to me. But they didn't. So, then they let me go. The psych ward let me, they said, we can't let you in. So, I ended up leaving, and then I called my mom, and I was like, oh my God, you fucking, because she thought that the police took me to the psych ward. She's like, oh, you fucking loser, why don't you just tell them about the crime? And so they put me in. My mom had her neighbor's gardener drive me to a hotel to stay at the hotel. And then at that time, when I was at my grandma's house, that was the first time I ever made a video describing how my parents abused me in high school. So then I told my mom, I told everybody about what you guys did to me in high school. And mom was like, oh my God, you told. She was like, I just wish you would die. Please, just kill yourself. Why don't you just fucking kill yourself? Just fucking please, just kill yourself, Ryan. Just kill yourself. Get out of our lives, please. My mom is evil. So then, so then I'm stuck at the hotel, and my mom was like, if you start my mom called me. She told me, like, I know somebody. He's a mentally ill person. He's living in this place. If you start taking medicine, you can live with him. We'll give you a place to stay with him. He's my friend's son, and he has mental illness, and you can stay with him and just take medicine, and we'll give you a place to stay. And I'm like, Mom, I'm not going to take medicine. I don't have a mental illness, you fucking idiot. So then my mom was like, okay, well, we're not giving you a place to stay, so now you live on the streets. So they kicked me out of the hotel, and now I'm living on the streets again. I'll get to the next part.